Good morning, viewers. It's Tuesday morning, April 22, 2025, and I'm your host, Sunil Thakker, a Sunny Talks Funny. Welcome to ST Money 7 a.m. early morning news, where we provide you the latest, concise, and precise stock market wrap with accurate figures and numbers. The Sell America trade picked back up on Monday. Heavy selling lashed Wall Street a new Monday, with longer dated treasuries joining stocks and the dollar in a deepening slump after President Donald Trump's censure of Jerome Powell's interest rate policy sowed angst among investors already coping with the global trade war. Trump's assurances that tariff talks were progressing did little to stop the rout. Stocks fell, with the Dow Industrial Average dropping almost 1,000 points and on pace for the worst April since 1932. The S&P 500 closed 16% below its June 19 record closing high. If the bellwether index closes 20% below that all-time high, that will confirm the index has entered a bear market. The tech-heavy Nasdaq took the biggest hit, falling around 2.5% after earlier being down 3% and more. At close, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 972 points or 2.48% to 38,170. The S&P 500 lost 125 points or 2.36% to 5,158, and the Nasdaq Composite lost 416 points or 2.55% to 15,871. Markets are on edge about President Trump's tariff war, as well as his threats to fire Fed Chief Jerome Powell. Trump on Monday demanded lower rates in a post on social media, saying costs are trending downward and the economy could slow. The US president took to Truth Social Monday, amping up the pressure on the Fed chair, insisting there was virtually no inflation and it was time for preemptive cuts. The last reading of Fed's preferred inflation gauge remains above the interest central bank's target. There will be a new readout next week. On Friday, when markets were closed, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett underscored White House's displeasure with Powell, saying officials were studying his removal. Hassett said on Friday that Trump is studying whether he's able to fire Powell. Trump escalated his criticism of Powell on Monday, saying the U.S. economy is headed for a slowdown unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lower interest rates now. In a bellicose Truth Social post, which raised concerns over the Fed's autonomy. The comments raised new questions about whether the Fed can maintain its long-standing independence, with the president increasingly venting his dissatisfaction that the central bank hasn't moved faster to lower interest rates. Big losses in the Magnificent Seven group of mega cap growth stocks weighed heaviest on the tech-laden Nasdaq. Big tech shares fell, led by Tesla and Nvidia and Apple. Artificial intelligence heavyweight Nvidia dropped 4.5% after Reuters reported that Huawei Technologies plan to begin mass shipments of an advanced AI chip to customers in China as early as next month. Tesla dropped 5.8% after it was reported that the production launch of its stripped-down version of the Model Y was delayed. Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities said the electric vehicle maker faces a code red moment as it prepares to report earnings on Tuesday, and called for Elon Musk to step back from his work at the Department of Government Efficiency to focus on the company. Meanwhile, Netflix Incorporated was a rare winner after posting record profits on Thursday. Also, FIS gained 2.4% after a brokerage upgrade. All 11 major sectors in the S&P 500 ended in negative territory, with consumer discretionary and tech suffering the biggest percentage losses. First quarter earnings season shifts into higher gear this week, with dozens of closely watched firms due to report. So far, of the 59 companies that have reported, 68% have beaten Wall Street expectations. Notable earnings on the docket this week include Magnificent Seven members, Tesla and Alphabet, and a host of high-profile industrials, including Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and 3M. The benchmark 10-year fell, with the yield reaching 4.4%. The dollar hit fresh multi-year lows against the euro and other major currencies. A gauge of the dollar weakened to a 15-month low, with the Swiss franc gaining around 1% against the dollar. As investors turned away from U.S. securities, haven assets climbed. Gold jumped to another record, above $3,400 an ounce. Bitcoin rallied 2.6% to $87,319. WTI crude fell around 2% to below $64 a barrel. The agitation also spread to the US credit market. In derivatives, the cost of protecting a basket of high grade credit securities against default rose to the highest in more than a week. Three investment grade companies looked at selling bonds on Monday, but after seeing the market backdrop, two elected to stand down, and only American Express Company moved forward with the sale. The Sino US trade battle deepened after Beijing warned other countries against striking deals with the United States at China's expense, adding fuel to the spiraling tariff war between the world's two biggest economies. Major retailers, including representatives from Walmart Incorporated and Home Depot Incorporated, are reported to be meeting with President Trump to discuss the levies. The tariff offensive has been a weight on the US market amid worries about a financial slump down the road. My take: can the president sway the Fed and fire Powell? While the tariff trade war rages on, a new rift is brewing, that between President Trump and Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Trump wants to fire Powell, stating he's too slow to respond to rate cuts even as inflation is tame. But government interference in an independent financial body is rather scary for the markets. Countries that have an independent central bank grow faster, have lower inflation, and they have better economic outcomes for their people. Not only is the independence of the Fed clearly under threat, but the prospect of de dollarization and a move away from US hegemony is an increasingly realistic one. Were Powell to be fired, the initial reaction would be a huge injection of volatility into financial markets and the most dramatic rush to exit from US assets. But remember, this is a fear that is being echoed by hedge funds elites. Nobody knows the future, yet there's virtual unanimity among economists that monetary independence from political interference, that the Fed or any central bank be able to do the job that it needs to do, is really important. Frankly, firing Powell stretches belief, and legal scholars say that a president can't dismiss a Fed chair easily, and Powell has previously said he wouldn't resign if asked by Trump. So the question that begs to be answered is, can the president sway the Fed and fire Powell? That's the wrap for today, my dear viewers. And if you got value from this, please do subscribe, like, and share this video as much as possible. You can contact me at st@st-money.com for any further information. I'll see you again tomorrow morning. In the meantime, happy investing, stay inspired, and remember, it's all about money.